Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Yes, I am.
Newly released body-worn camera footage from Lumberton Police shows the response to Mayor Gina LaPlaca's alleged DUI. Officers met her at her home around 5:40 p.m. on March 17th as she gets her toddler out of the car. She stumbles almost immediately, and an officer asks her about the damaged side mirror.
What happened?
She tells officers she had just picked up her child.
Where you come from school?
Police say a witness contacted them about an erratic driver.
It's still just a lot of swerving, but then up here it gets to the point where like fully off.
The witness recorded cell phone video, which he shows to officers.
I didn't realize there was a kid in the car until like we were at the red light turning left on the 38.
At the house, officers had LaPlaca perform field sobriety tests.
What did you drink?
She's then handcuffed and put into the back of a police vehicle.
I know, that's okay.
In her car, officers found a water bottle with alcohol in it, as well as a small liquor bottle. She was charged with DUI and related offenses.
Since your blood alcohol level was so high, we have to take you to the hospital.
Shortly after her arrest, LaPlaca's husband told Action News she's seeking treatment for addiction. At the Township Committee meeting last week, residents and committee member Terrence Benson called on LaPlaca to resign as mayor.
Now, why did I bring that up? I bring this up in response to what happened to Tina Peters with the disgraced state senator who was charged with 4 felonies and the fact that they got probation. I bring this up because DAs are designed to basically enact whatever they want to on us, the have-nots, but allows people like this woman who was so intoxicated she had to go to the hospital, who had her kid in the car. Now, any other time, they would have thrown the book. They would have thrown the absolute book at you. They would have thrown the book at me. They would have published all sorts of stuff about me, but they didn't publish much about her. No, they wanted to make her the victim and said she was seeking help for addiction. So what happened in March worked its way through the system. And what do you think the punishment was for Gina? Let's look at this real quick. So 4 times the limit. The New York mayor DUI with a 2-year-old ends up with what's called a PTI deal. So for those of you that don't know what that means, she was 4 times the legal limit. 4 times. In other words, she basically put her child in massive danger, massive harm. Let me sum this up for you. She got 3 years of supervised under New Jersey's pretrial intervention program for first-time offenders. So it's a diversionary program. So she does not get a criminal conviction, right? So if she does all that, it goes away. She has to attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, installation of an interlock system in her vehicle. So she gets to still drive. She still gets to drive. And she has to require with requirements from the New Jersey Division of Child Protection and Permanency, and other PTI terms. So the outcome of this is 4 times the legal limit. 4 times. So if you're an illegal, you don't get kicked out of the country for raping children. No, they hide you from ICE and they try to make them victims. But here's the outcome. No jail time. No jail time, no criminal conviction. She had to step down she was ousted as the mayor, but she's currently still a Lumberton Township committee member, and she has plans to run to be reelected there. Now, initially, her pretrial was rejected, but she pled guilty on Monday to driving under the influence, and then she got put into that PTI program, hoping that no one would pick this up. So how do you get these breaks? How do you get these breaks? In Colorado, I want to, if I can, there's a Douglas County, Colorado, is a pick and choose environment. It's run by a Republican DA. The judges are all far left radicals. The attorneys are far left radicals, which means the DA is probably a far left radical. His name's George Brockler, 23rd District. I mean, so I get involved in cases in Douglas County, Arapahoe County, Denver County, because I get phone calls. And those phone calls where I get emails saying, hey, can you help my brother? And so there's times that I will show up for them and help them if they don't have an attorney. And these are guys that, yeah, I mean, I played football with, or I met through, they saw something and said, hey, this guy will help you. There's a guy in Douglas County that got in a fight at Waffle House, and they, you know, he had a pretty dicey history, right? But he'd been somewhat clean for the last 9 or so years. And he just got sentenced to, I think, 15 to 20 years in prison for a fight at a Waffle House, where the guy called him and used the hard R and the N word. And, you know, I've been looking at this case and other cases, but I can see, and I look at other cases just to see what the outcome of those cases are, so that I can go back and say, okay, well, why'd you give this person 20 years, but you let this person out on probation? And you would think that it'd be pretty consistent, that justice would be blind, and you'd have, here's a consequence for it. By the way, I'm not saying that she should go to jail for 20 years, but she had her 2-year-old in the car 4 times the legal limit, and she had to drink that bottle, right? So she knew when she put that bottle to her lips that she could have crashed and killed her 2-year-old in the car. But you don't get these breaks. These breaks aren't afforded to you. And they're not afforded to you in conservative areas or liberal areas, because just because you're conservative doesn't mean that the people reigning over you are conservative, or the people reigning over you are consistent or good people. Case in point, 74-year-old man goes around a bend, hits the back tire of a kid that is 30 feet away from her son, playing with her dogs at one of the highest traffic intersections in Douglas County. 10,000 cars a day. I've now had to research this other person, because this person is 74 years old, is a friend of mine. Well, they arrested him and charged him with all sorts of crime, but did not charge the woman with child abuse. This 4-year-old was on a bike that he had only had for a very short period of time. He wasn't wearing a helmet and was 30 yards, away from her son, tending to dogs in a busy intersection. He gets knocked over. My 74-year-old friend had no idea he hit anyone. The car didn't register, which typically the car's a brand new Tahoe would have registered. Goes around the bend. She's screaming at him. He thought that it had to do with the dogs. Kept going. A little bit of confusion. Car pulls in front of him to stop him. He has no idea. Still didn't know that there was a little kid back there. Still didn't know that he was the one that hit him. Still didn't. Nobody talked. I mean, literally, it was just pandemonium. Well, when he hit the back tire, the kid fell over, hit his head. 30 feet. Who in their right mind that is not setting something up and is willing to use their kid as a pawn? This is my opinion, only my opinion. But who in their right mind would let their kid be on a bike 30 feet ahead of them in that type of environment? Anybody? With no helmet, on a bike he just got. Well, I'm going to tell you who, because now I've done all the research on it. Someone that has done things like this before, looking for opportunities. And the sad part about this is that the 74-year-old had to go and get where they check the traffic survey of how everything happened. The mother lied. The mother lied to the cops. The cops lied to the 74-year-old. I had to go and look up and get video footage. I tried to get the access to the footage inside the car because the car records things inside of it. They created a story to destroy the 74-year-old man, by the way, that's never had so much as a parking ticket. Now, the woman has a very spotty history. But the woman goes and calls them and said, racism, racism, racism. So the DA that should be looking at all the information throws the book at this man. An accident. Busy intersection, hits the tire, she's distracting over on this side, the little boy's on this side, can't see him, he's literally not even up to the bumper of the car. Distracting with two dogs. I mean, everything that you could possibly do if you were doing the three-car Monty was happening in that intersection. And instead of looking at it as, hey, this is an accident, he gets out of the car, walks back, sees the little boy, is like, wow. Police officer, he says, I don't think I'm the one that hit him. Police officer says, leave. Police officer has control, says, leave. They charge him with leaving the scene of the accident. They charge him with all sorts of crimes associated with it, saying he abused that child. Threw the book at him with felonies. So the lawyer goes in and meets with him, the lawyer that I know. Everyone knows this 74-year-old man. By the way, a 74-year-old man that has donated more than his fair share across the board to every organization. But they had a mark. They had a 74-year-old white man. So the lawyer walks in, really good lawyer, and meets with the DA. Now, keep in mind, I started doing research on this and with a guy that cut him off. So I'm in the middle of it because I get involved in this stuff. This DA doesn't particularly like me. So my name came up. Because, of course, they had to lie about me because I went on to a dad's group and I was like, listen, I need to know what the process is for getting access to the video on his truck. Because my 74-year-old friend called me, because a lot of people call me when it comes to, hey, I need help. I've never gone through this before. And not that I have, but I've helped a lot of people. So the DA finds out that I know this person, and he brings up my name in the conversation. Politics play a very dirty role in all this. They offer that 74-year-old man 45 days in jail. And a deferred judgment if he does 45 days for an accident. Haves and have-nots. Now, in the meantime, I'm doing lots of research on this particular case and the people in it. I'm doing what the police and the sheriff's office didn't do. And then I find out about things about this particular person that they would have to have known, right? Police would have to have known. Never charged her, and then she lied. She lied over and over and over again about what her son was going through. Went to women's groups, moms groups, everything else. I sent someone to go to those groups. I have a vested interest in this case now. Why? Because it's a setup. Media gets involved. They create this frenzy. She lies on TV about the case. Calls it a hit and run, which it wasn't. And lies over and over and over again. She doesn't miss one meeting, says she wants him thrown in jail. And still, nobody questioned the fact of why this mom was 30 yards away from her son on a brand new bike with no helmet, 10,000 cars going by, having more care and concern for dogs than she does her own son. This, and by the way, I've looked at all these other cases in Douglas County. So I can tell you it has a lot to do with Joe Oltmann. Nothing to do with the 74-year-old man. It has a lot to do with the attorney that walked in there. Because of course this DA had to pick up this case personally. because my name came up. That's how disgusting the system is. Now, I've stayed quiet about this particular case that's going on right now. I'm having meetings with certain people. I said that I wouldn't use what I know. I'd take it to them first. So I'm going to. But it's just another example. This woman could have killed her 2-year-old kid. They didn't charge her with child abuse. They didn't charge her with anything related to what she did. But if you would have done it, they would have thrown the damn book at you. Haves and have-nots. It's not a justice system. It's an injustice system. And our guest is going to go through that a little bit today as well. And instead of actually creating a system where we have people that are judges and DAs and people that are good people, and a checks and balance system that will allow for the people to have a bite at the apple if a judge was found to be inconsistent or causing harm to the community. They get qualified immunity and can do whatever they want. Same with DAs. They get to hide information. They get to, decide that, hey, I don't know if it's Joe that this guy doesn't like or if it's the attorney he doesn't like. But he gets to pick and choose and play God, lowercase g, and do so with reckless abandonment, reckless regard, while probably jockeying or having conversations with other people in politics to say, well, I know it'll bother Joe if I do this, so let's hurt this 74-year-old man. The only thing that DA didn't count on is the fact that I know a lot about that DA. And frankly, I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to see this case through, and I'm going to stand right next to my friend. 74 years old, never done anything wrong. It was a terrible, and by the way, the little kid, whether a pawn for the mom used in order to create this environment on purpose, which is my personal belief that that's what happened. Why? Because when I was younger, it happened to me. And I can smell a con when I can smell it. That's my belief. But whether that's the case, or whether it's a terrible accident where she's retarded and she cares more for dogs than she does her son and can't put a helmet on his head and has him on a brand new bike that he doesn't know anything about, he's never ridden before, and he's all of 3 foot nothing. So either way, they didn't charge her with what they should have charged her with because they wanted to make kabuki theater and they wanted to go after a 74-year-old man. They wanted to do it so that they could look the part and then use it as a media circus for an accident to hurt this 74-year-old man. I'm disgusted by the police. I'm disgusted by the DA. And I'm even more disgusted that they can pick and choose winners and losers based on this system. But that's what we get. That's the judiciary. And it's probably 99% of our problem in this country. Take away qualified immunity, make it so that a citizenry community can actually go out and get rid of judges. Have a checks and balance system that allows for you to get rid of evil. And guess what? Things start to regulate themselves. But now let's talk about this judge in North Carolina who became a judge. This is called Habekah Cannon, a far-left Democrat, was just elected as a judge in North Carolina. She called herself an abolitionist who will get you out of the cage. She was arrested 3 times during the George Floyd riots. Now she's a judge. And let's go, let me just go through her arrest if I can. The one arrest is, she was arrested on June 16, 2020 during a mass arrest of 43 people as a jail support hub outside the county jail. She was arrested again on September 12, 2020 for trespassing, and they encircled her outside her office. A third in September 21st, 2020 during another mass arrest at the same site where she was live streaming as a legal observer. These arrests stem from her activism and volunteer work for protesters, including legal service. The Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office dismissed all charges related to these arrests. Dismissed them. So again, I'm going to say it again. She's arrested 3 times. All 3 times dismissed would that have happened to you? There was no Republican opponent in the general election, so she's set to become the judge. So where's the Republican Party in this area? And how should that make the people of North Carolina feel? Specifically given the fact that she's a racist. She's a racist bigot who literally wants to put criminals back on the street. And here's, we're going to have, our guest is going to go through ultimately how the system betrayed him. Scott Schara is going to be on. He's going to go over Grace's death, St. Elizabeth Hospital in Wisconsin. The fact that they overdosed her, not once, not twice, but 3 times, ultimately a 3rd time, killed Grace. Now, there's some things that we're going to talk about in that case that is going to absolutely just turn your stomach. And Scott wrote a book about it. But every day we get more and more information about judges. And if you want to talk about who is the enemy of the people, it's not very hard to see. I'm telling everyone that's listening to this podcast that if you want to know who the enemy of the people is, it's pretty easy to see. They're the people that are bullying with impunity people in the public. They are the judges. They are the DAs. They are the lawyers that use the system while letting criminals become judges. And here's a video in San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie. Well, this is the Democratic. He calmly walked away while using his. Let's look at this. Go ahead and play it.
Where did the mayor go?
So let me just say that the security detail officer was body slammed, hit his head. And Lurie just watched briefly and then just walked away unharmed. I just want to ask you guys what you think I would do. What do you think I'd do? What do you think I'd do, Damon? I think I'd knock that dude out. People are like, oh, you talk tough. All right, well, okay. Well, in the last 5 years, I've had multiple people that have attacked me, and all of those people had a really bad day. Really bad day. One, and you say, well, it's because you have a gun. No. I'm just talking about the times that people have been stupid, and I've taken out my pent-up aggression against those people. Our leaders have no backbone because they're not elected, they're selected. The system is designed to actually favor the weak. And one of the things that, as I run for governor, that I'm learning is that I've been fighting for 6 years. People are like, oh, Joe, you're too strong. Well, what do you want? Do you want someone that's going to represent you and actually fix the broken system and do so with authority? Or do you want someone that's not? Do you want somebody that's going to walk in there and smile and nod and say, it's complicated. It's kind of, everything moves slowly. Now with me, nothing moves slowly. It moves quickly. We move quickly, we get things done, we do what we have to protect our community, our state, and our people. Our people are not the grifters inside the government that have bloated it from 12 billion to 44 billion. Those aren't my people. And change the rules, no, those aren't my people. My people are the people. That's my people. So then let's talk about what people are able to get away with people that think you're a slave, that will allow criminals out on the street. Here's a Minnesota man who was caught vandalizing Teslas, and guess what? He had no charges filed. Play it.
The Minnesota man who caught a big break, no charges filed after he was caught on camera vandalizing Tesla vehicles in the Twin Cities, also received a break from his employer, the Minnesota Department of Human Services. This development was first reported by the Star Tribune that Dylan Adams got to keep his state job and was just suspended for 1 day. Internal DHS documents show an external law firm investigated for the department, finding that Dylan Adams keyed 6 Tesla vehicles in March 2025 because Adams cannot stand Tesla's CEO and founder Elon Musk. The DHS investigation found he did not damage the cars while he was on the clock for DHS. Adams was arrested by Minneapolis police, but Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty decided to offer him a diversion program rather than face criminal charges. Adam paid for the damage, about $20,000. DHS suspended Adams for 1 day in January as punishment for violating the department's code of ethical conduct, writing that Adams' punishment was for seriously undermining public trust and demonstrating a lack of sound judgment. I'm Lou Ragoose. Follow for more news.
1 day, $20,000 in damage. Criminal mischief, easily a couple felonies. Rules are for thee, but not for me. You know, we see this every day. I'm having to deal with this special master in the Denver County Court, Gilman. This bitch. And you know what? I don't really care. She wants to release the information on the Antifa kid, the stuff that happened between the attorney-client privilege. Release it, even after the person was told it'd be covered under attorney-client privilege. Because she has no regard for the law. The law doesn't make any difference. No, we're going to fine you, we're going to take away from you, we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to act with impunity. I mean, I think the next step is to just file it in federal court to show that we just have a bunch. I mean, the case is absolutely absurd. And if it wasn't for the fact that I knew that Eric Coomer was going to go to jail, he's going to jail. If I didn't know that so clearly, I'd be more upset. But these same people, these judges and these special masters, these pieces of trash that violate the law, that have no regard for the law, these are the ones that let these people out. These are the ones that favor the evil inside the system. And you're like, oh, you have to have respect for it. Respect for what? How do you respect something that is so diabolical and disgusting and represents all that is reprehensible about anyone in our society? That's what these people are. They steal with impunity. They act like they're the law. And they do terrible things in order to hurt people. Oh, by the way, my attorney was forced to step down because I said, if you give that information up, then you're in violation. And they're like, well, then she needs to come off the case. I'm thinking to myself, You can't be on the case. You cannot be on the case if you're going to violate your attorney-client privilege. So they've created this entire system where they basically are, I mean, just, it's crazy. It's crazy. But it's not legal, but it doesn't matter if it's not legal. They can do whatever they want. So speaking of doing whatever they want, we have a guest coming in, Scott Schara. And by the way, I already know Coomer's attorneys are going to be watching this. David Beller, he's the attorney that is embroiled in one of the largest corruption cases in Colorado history that the DOJ, I guess, is picking up very seriously and could lead to a bunch of people being arrested. I pray that that's what happens. Maybe it shuts down the entire judiciary in Colorado. That would be amazing. That's Coomer's attorney. I know they watch this show. I get to every time I say something, they're like, "Oh, look what he said. Oh, he did this." Well, they sit back and lie with impunity. Our guest coming in his name is Scott Schara. You guys know him from Grace Schara. Grace was killed she was murdered in the St. Elizabeth Hospital in Wisconsin. And he took it to court, spent over $1 million in legal fees. And frankly, I don't know how as a father you can have them admit that they did such bad things to your child who had Down syndrome. Grace had Down syndrome. So she was not just a child. She was 19 years old, and she was a at-risk young adult. And they killed her. They killed her. And I've been following this story for 4 years. But if we don't get to the problem, we want to hold police officers accountable. Police officers are not a problem. The judiciary is a problem. The judges are a problem. The special masters are a problem. The DAs are a problem. The corrupt and crooked lawyers that have created this fraternity, they're a problem. They're just evil. And are the good ones? I'm sure. But where are they? They're not talking. They're not talking. They're letting it exist. They're letting all this bad stuff happen. No whistleblowers, no other judges coming forward. No, just judges in Colorado, just judges that are raping children and, having videos of downloaded on their personal computers. Yeah, that's all they're doing. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Today was a difficult one because the thing that I keep thinking about most is counting the costs. Counting the costs. Scott's going to be captain to count the costs associated with his daughter, losing his daughter. And it's terrible. It's terrible. He's such an amazing man. And she was a beautiful young lady. But counting the cost of the last 6 years, it's been a high cost, super high cost. Cost me more than probably I was prepared to give until I was already there. And then I was like, yeah, I'll give it up. No problem. But yeah, so we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, you'll be hanging out with me and Scott. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act.
As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage.
We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
All right, so welcome back from the commercial. We've been talking about counting the costs, and I told you we had our guest was going to be Scott Schara, who's going to be on, and I told you why. So I just want to bring Scott in, and we're going to talk through some things with Scott. So Scott, welcome to the show.
Well, Joe, it is really a pleasure to see you again. It's been a good year and a half or so since I've seen you. Yeah.
Yeah, and you haven't aged a minute, and I've aged like 30. I feel like I've been the president of the United States almost.
Well, I'll tell you, our lawsuit aged me about 10 years, but thankfully the legal piece is over.
It reminds me of when the story of Abraham, where he just, he obviously lived a long time, but how he went from, from a young man to an old man. Anyway, same type of thing. I feel like I've gained wisdom though, and I think you probably have as well.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. I have learned more since Grace's death. I'll be 63 years old in April, and I have learned more in the 4 years and 4 months since Grace's death than I did the entire 58 years before.
Do you feel as if a veil was lifted that allows you to never see anything the same? Like if you walk down the street, you see someone and you can never look at another person the same way.
Yeah, that's really that's a fantastic way to frame it. And the most important thing when that veil is lifted, I mean, you hear people say you can't unsee it, and that happened to me. So I mean, I cannot unsee this anymore. I see things way differently. As you know, I have my own podcast now, Deprogramming with Grace's dad, because I see this as we've been programmed, we've been lied to, and so now that I see that, I can't unsee it. And here's the hardest thing about once you're woken up to that reality is not looking down on somebody else who's not there. And we have to keep in mind that they are not our enemy. The divide and conquer strategy is alive and well in this country, but our neighbors, our relatives, our friends are not our enemy. Satan is our enemy, and he has blinded most people, and you and I are in the minority, and it's a privilege to be in that minority. We know in the Old Testament the prophets were also in the minority. They kept speaking out, but nobody wanted to listen, and so our motivation becomes just like with Ezekiel in chapter 33, that we don't want. God commands us to speak out so that we don't have their blood on our hands.
Scott, I don't know if everyone knows the whole story. I told a little bit of it before I brought you on here, but Grace was 19 years old. She had Down syndrome. I read something online that said that Grace tragically died at St. Elizabeth Hospital. And I took offense to it when I saw that, because I was like, no, she was murdered at St. Elizabeth Hospital. And you and I we were on the show before, and you're so calm, and I'm not. I want, I want what I know I shouldn't want for people that did that to Grace. And you have taken a much more forgiving approach. I just have to ask you the question, because I'm a father, and you don't even have to answer the question if you don't want. But how do you maintain such grace for people that were not, it was just evil?
Yeah. I wish more people would ask that question, because it would allow me to tell the most important thing I could ever say on the air, which is I can't. And the reason I can't is because nobody can forgive the persons who killed your daughter. So the doctor and nurse who killed Grace, of course, I don't have that ability. But what happened to me, Grace's last day on earth was October 13th of 2021. I went into a different hospital on October 16th. I just about died that day. I made it through. And the next day, an interesting thing happened, and it was the best day of my life. And what happened on October 17th of 2021, I had prayed probably 20 years earlier for God to do whatever he needed to do to break me. And that's where I became broken. And he gave me the spirit of forgiveness towards the doctor and nurse. And so consequently, when we filed our lawsuit, our wrongful death lawsuit, and it was neat that the jury got to hear this, even though it wasn't right, because it brought in my religious beliefs, which were not supposed to come into the trial. But regardless, it doesn't matter. I mean, they got to hear the truth. So that, they asked me on the stand, what's the reason that you filed this lawsuit? And I said, for repentance. So what do you mean? Well, if the doctor and nurse who did this to Grace repent, more lives would be saved than I'm just a dad. I'm a nobody. But think about a doctor and nurse who did this, and they come forward, they repent and come forward, and then walk arm in arm with me and talk about what is actually going on in the American medical system. We could have brought down the house of cards if repentance happened. So anyway, God did that for me. If we could do that on our own, there's no such thing as the gospel. Jesus Christ came for nothing if we could do that on our own. So that's how it happened, Joe.
I played over in my mind. I had to. Different situation, but coming forward and having to tell the truth about something that I really didn't want any part of, and then having to dig into that, talking about elections. Because in large part, I say that stolen elections are not a victimless crime. And in large part, what they did with COVID was committed genocide across the United States. Millions died. Grace became a number, and they were allowed through the chaos to do some really terrible things. But I had to play it over in my head what would happen if someone hurt someone in my family. And I pray to God that he would guide me, but I don't think that anything would stop me from, and I think that's the thing that I got most impressed upon me when we were on here last time, is I was like, I just don't, am I a bad person? Because I would literally hunt those people down. How do I believe in God. I literally serve the Lord, have for a long time. I am a very, very strong guy. Like, I just believe that I'm a warrior, right? But I don't know, I play it over and over again, and I think there's lots of people that play it over and over again, Scott. I think there's lots of people that do. I'm not the only one.
Well, God is not a God of judging our actions. He judges our heart. And I watched a movie where it was based on a true story. I wish I could remember the title right now, but I watched it right after the trial was over, and it was recommended by one of the attorneys, and it was a movie down south. A black man's daughter was raped by two white men, and he went into the courtroom, and not in the courtroom, in the courthouse, when they were going in for one of the hearings, and he shot them both dead. And so then he had his own murder trial. And, the reason he shot them dead is he knew the legal system was going to set them free. And he had to take justice in his own hands. And he was acquitted in the murder trial. And when I watched that movie, I could see, again, God isn't looking at the action, he's looking at the heart. And, I can see that. You look at what we went through with the lawsuit. Of course, there's no justice. We lost 11-1. How is that even possible? Well, that's ultimately a puzzle piece in my book, because we realize by looking at all of these antichrist systems, they're all in bed with each other. So the medical industrial complex is an antichrist tentacle. The legal industrial complex, they call it the justice system. Well, it should be properly called the injustice system. And, so when you come to grips with that, God tells us to, thou shalt not murder. It's murder, not kill. It isn't thou shalt not kill. It's thou shalt not murder. So I wouldn't judge you as a bad person if you did that, Joe.
By the way, I read the jury instructions, which were stacked against you on day one. I don't think people understand that this was not a fair trial. This was not a get to see the information, make a judgment based on that information. It was, we're going to basically take a left, take a right, move around the facts of the case and make it so they could justify Grace dying. And I'm not sure that everyone understands that. So can you explain that? Because I did. I read the entire docket, including the jury instructions, and I was disgusted by the jury instructions and even what the judge did in the case in order to limit information that the jury was allowed to hear.
It's way worse than what people think. I'm impressed that you did that. So the jury instructions up until the last day actually had me as one of the people to assess liability on. So it wasn't just the hospital, the doctor, but they had me as a party to the crime. I'm the plaintiff. So I was only removed at the last minute for the jury instructions. But yeah, the way they were written, they framed them such that they really never get to the root of the issue. And if you zoom out, it was substantially worse than what people think. And I don't know if you knew, I filed a motion for a new trial on October 29th. That hearing was December 19th, and the motion for a new trial was denied. And so what was the basis of the motion? Well, the basis of the motion is the judge, and this is one of the things people don't understand. They think, well, we should have Grace's law. We should have this legislation. We can't legislate morality. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen through legislation. And assuming that you even get to the courtroom, which is a near impossible standard because of statute of limitations. There's a $750,000 cap on lawsuits in Wisconsin for medical malpractice. And just the cost, our out-of-pocket cost for the legal fees was $1.1 million. So I mean, you can't, it doesn't make any sense. No, this system is against us. But the biggest strike against us was way before the jury instructions, Joe, and it was the judge denied our motions in limine. And motions in limine are those things that
limitations.
And so the specific limitations in our motions in limine were to not allow my religious beliefs and the research. I've done 4,000 hours of research since Grace's death, to not allow that research to come in the courtroom, because it had nothing to do with what they did to Grace during the 7 days that the trial was about. And the judge unilaterally denied our motions in limine without hearing a syllable. So then the defense was able to jump on that. They were able to paint me as a religious conspiracy nut. And, it's all okay. I mean, in God's economy, you play the hand that's dealt. So I played the hand that was dealt. The trial was live streamed, and people got to hear for the first time ever the truth about COVID. I was able to explain the truth about COVID on the stand, and that was never refuted. So that was a benefit of the judge denying our motions in limine. But anyway, that was the essence of why I filed the motion for new trial, because that prevented us from having a fair trial in their Antichrist system. I mean, so if you think about, here's another concept, we say a jury of our peers. So if I had a jury of Joe Oltmans, those are my peers, we would have won hands down. But I have a jury of 12 people. 80% of them are triple jabbed. They bow down to the white coat. So, I mean, how are you ever going to get a fair shake in a system like that?
Well, I think you could have gotten a fair shake in the system had they not hamstrung you, right? I mean, the in limine was much worse, because it painted a picture that literally created chaos. Chaos always favors the op, never favors the people. And so they were able to basically play on the media. They were able to use this frenzy in the media, misinformation, disinformation, all that, as basically a whipping stick against you. And so you never really, and again, I watched much of the trial, but I read all of it. And reading it, I was flabbergasted. I was flabbergasted at how ridiculous the arguments on the defense were. It didn't talk to the reality. It almost walked over it. Like walked over what they did. The things that they did in the hospital were criminal. They weren't just malpractice. They were criminal, right? And it's not difficult to see. Even in the trial, wasn't difficult to see. But they layered on this defamation against you that made it impossible to get to the bottom of it.
Well, I have another screen. I'm just going to read what the jury decided on my other screen, because it will shock you to the core. Not you, because you already are familiar with it, but listeners that don't understand this will be shocked to the core. So I'm just going to read this. The defense, through their experts, said that by being in a hospital, you are giving implied consent. and that the drugs that euthanized Grace were normal in an ICU, so no informed consent is necessary. Doctors informing the family is not even necessary for the 2 prior overdose events. Grace was overdosed on October 7th and October 8th. They didn't tell us. We had no idea. The 3rd overdose on the 13th of October killed Grace. Finally, their experts said that if you don't give a pre-authorization for a ventilator, that's called DNI, do not intubate, and that's the same as DNR and do not resuscitate. And a doctor can unilaterally place a DNR on a patient without consent, without a witness, without a signature, and without a DNR bracelet. So that was the jury verdict. And you think, you got to be kidding me. And so the press that I saw after the jury verdict, they were concerned that this is a precedent. And I knew it wasn't a precedent because I've spent so many hours, thousands of hours researching this. What this is this rubber stamped what in fact has been going on for literally decades. This model that I just laid out, you think, well, that can't happen. Is that actually happening in America? Yeah, it's happening in America, and it's happening all the time. The defense brought in 5 experts, Joe. We had a fantastic expert, Dr. Gilbert Burdine. He knocked it out of the park. And, he's a common sense medical provider. And he said, all these things I just read, no, those are not the standard of care. But when you are in a courtroom, the standard of care is relative. And so the defense, we're up against Goliath. We're really up against the government system, Ascension Hospital system. They could not lose this case. They brought in 5 extremely high-paid experts, 2 from Johns Hopkins, the epicenter of the COVID fraud. And they laid out that in unison, these things I just read are in fact what we agree to when you cross the threshold of a hospital. It's hard to grasp, but that's the truth of the American medical system.
Yeah, so what you said, though, about these drugs being properly used and that the overdose, all of these facts that they stated, I don't know how to say this without... When you play a game, Scott, and you know what the rules are of the game, it becomes easy to play the rules, right?
Correct.
Right? You can only move the rook a certain way. You can only move the pawns a certain way. I think the issue is that they keep changing the rules and moving the goalposts. And this qualified immunity the judges have is the same as the immunity that they put on the big pharma, they put on the medical science environment. And so you can't really get to the bottom of it. You can't, no matter how you would have argued this in front of the court, they would have argued it the opposite way in order to put themselves in a position where they would have still won. So given what I just said, and given the rotted nature of the judiciary, we know it's rotted to the core. These are henchmen, these are enforcers for a cartel family, a fraternity of sorts across the country that frankly don't stand for anything that has to do with the American ideals. Given all of that, if you were to go back in time, and I know you can't go back in time, so I'm just asking you, if you were to go back in time, and you were on September 30th of 2021, would you have gone in there and ripped Grace out of that hospital?
Yeah, that's really a great question. So I've replayed this for the 3 months after Grace died. I woke up every single night at 3 a.m. and replay this over and over and over. So first, of course, I would have never taken Grace to the hospital, but that's not your question. Your question is, now you're in the hospital setting with Grace, would you have ripped her out? And the answer is yes, but I want to tell you how I would get there, because I wasn't awake at that time to what I know now. So what I know now, Grace would be alive today, even if she objectively went into the hospital on October 6th. And the reason I know that is because I would advocate differently today than I advocated back then. So what's the difference? The difference is the leadership role. What happens in these settings is you get into the hospital and you immediately become subservient to that system and you end up bowing down to that system. Well, to be blunt, that's bullshit. And I would never bow down to that system again. And I've had a chance to practice that now with two disabled people. My wife and I have rescued two disabled people practicing what I'm telling you. We rescued them out of a hospital setting. And you start with the leadership role. And what that means is that it doesn't mean that you're rude to them, but you start with the premise that I am advocating for my daughter. And what that means is that you can do nothing. You can't even give her a saline IV unless you get my written authority. Do we have a meeting of the minds? And if you don't have a meeting of the minds, you pull the person out. I mean, that's a no-brainer, because that has to be the rules of engagement. You just mentioned about the rules of engagement for chess. Well, that's the rules of engagement for a hospital setting. And what has happened in our country, so, it's easy for me to throw the government and the hospital system under the bus, but we need to look at in the mirror, because process, how many, so Joe, just think through, you want to get your windows washed at your home. All right, you're going to call a window washing company. We'll call it Acme Window Washing, and you're going to expect that they give you a quote. You're going to expect that assuming you hire them, they show up on time. You're going to expect that if they break one of your windows while they're washing them, they're going to fix it. They're going to be accountable. Okay, so then now overlay the medical system to that. You don't get any pricing. You can't shop around. If they make a mistake, there's no accountability. I mean, how many people have had surgeries botched and then they have to redo the surgery and they get billed twice? I mean, this is insanity, but we've let it all happen because our fear of death. Our fear of death has us bowing down to these people who worship a catechist. It's insane, but that's where we're at. We've all tacitly approved the system that we're in, and that's why I believe the only way out of this is repentance, and then we can reclaim the ground that we've given up.
The only way you actually so there's two sides to what you just said. One, I am grateful that you were actually saving others' lives through this, because of what happened to you, and what happened to Grace. My friend Josh was on his wife had, his mother had ALS. And so they were going on a cruise in end of November, early December. I think it was early December of 2021. Now, I got a phone call that said, or 2022, excuse me. So I got a phone call that said, Joe, I have COVID. I'm on the cruise ship. I've had to hide out because I didn't want him to kick me off the cruise ship because I have COVID in these foreign places. So he got really, really sick. And when they got back to the port in Miami, Miami-Dade's probably the worst for COVID. It was worse all the way through 2023. They were using the same protocols they were using before, even though they knew that they had prophylactics. So Josh called me and said, I'm in trouble. And I'm in the hospital and they won't let me out. And I was like, bullshit. I was like, yeah, they're gonna let you out. They're gonna let you out. I'm gonna fly down there. You're gonna let you out. You tell them to just walk out. And I'm on the phone with him. And what you said is so true. He was in such bad shape that they were ready to hook him up to some remdesivir. They were ready to kill him.
Yep.
Right? And he's like, Joe, they won't let me out. So I got on a plane. I found out this was at 9 in the morning. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was down there, right? I was down there in Miami. I rented a car and I said, I will drive you back. Now I already had COVID in 2020, so I was like, I don't care. I'm good. Just be in the car with me. I brought an oxygen machine with me that I took from my friend Gordon, and that he had when he goes to high altitudes. That was portable, and I put him in the car, and he looked like death warmed over, but they weren't going to let him out. And I'm screaming. I said, put it on speakerphone. I'm screaming on the phone, and Scott, I'm not like you, brother. I go straight to warrior mode. And I was like, I'm coming down there, and if I have to walk into the hospital, man, you better call in the National Guard. I mean, I was pissed. So they were like, yeah, we don't want the National Guard here. You can leave. Right? So they let him leave. He walks out of the hospital, and gets in my car. I think, I may have a little bit of fogginess. Maybe it was down the street from the hospital. Anyway, gets in the car. I take him right to a hotel, and I had to lie to the hotel. I had to tell the hotel it was in December of 2021, because the hospitals were still saying you couldn't, that you couldn't. They were still goofy, right? The hotels were goofy.
Sure.
And everybody had to wear a mask. I don't wear masks. But he had a mask on. He's white as a ghost. And I had to tell them, I'm like, yeah, he has cancer. I'm taking him down to, so that was our deal. Is he's carrying an oxygen tank, which was like the perfect cover. He has COVID really bad. And we're getting him a hotel room. I didn't want to be in the same hotel room with him because he was coughing and it was crazy. But had I not made that phone call and advocated, had I not had the conversation with you, had I not, saved my buddy Randall, because I had to sneak into the hospital and administer ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine in a saline solution into his IV bag and hide in this closet, sweating to death, wearing my badge from work, acting like I had been there before in scrubs that I shouldn't have been wearing. Right? I mean, and I did it 4 days in a row. I was bound to actually get caught. 5th day, his wife did it. But had I not had the conversation with you, I never would have gone through this experience where I was like, I'm done. We're going to do it my way.
You're bringing up quite an interesting what happens when I'm on an interview like this. You and I just have this relationship. It's neat because what pops into my head is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Yeah. And the reason Dietrich Bonhoeffer pops into my head is because what your audience just heard is that you lied to the hotel to get your friend in. So you think, oh my gosh, Joe Oltmann lied. All right. So what is Dietrich Bonhoeffer really opened up my mind to this idea? Of course, we know John 8:44 says Satan is the father of lies. But yet, if you really study the scripture, you see that it's misinterpreted to say that all lying is from Satan. Well, that's not true. What you did, so Dietrich Bonhoeffer really connected the dots, and he said that Satan does not deserve the truth. And so you were in a situation, you were in a wartime situation, and you did exactly what you needed to do. I'm really impressed with that. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it goes, I'm going to tell you something. People always tell, there's one thing you can call me, you cannot call me, you can't call me a liar. You can't, because I have this thing where I'm driven by the truth, even if it hurts people.
Yep.
My wife says that it's like a knife. Like, hey, do I look nice? And I'm like, no, I really don't like that top at all.
Yeah. Does this dress make me look fat? No. Yeah, right.
No. I have learned that one where you just do this.
It's I have even it's all, I mean, it's just spill the beans since we're on. So what's hard is that you can easily say, no, it's not the dress. But but the comma, when they hear the comma, then you got to fill in the rest. It's what you ate before you put the dress on. That's the problem. Joe, I am hoping my wife doesn't listen to this. Oh boy,
she might. But yeah, so my wife is always telling me, she's like, listen, you didn't have to answer that question. And I was like, you never ask a question you don't want the answer to, right? So now my wife just stopped asking those questions. She asked different questions.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So I gotta dig into something else, because you have a book that is out, and it's called
Here's a picture.
Is the government legally killing us? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not read it yet. So that's going to be the next thing that I read. I like to read, but I know that this book is going to affect me differently than other books that I read, and I have a tendency to get really. My friend asked me a question. He said, "Joe, why do you care? Like, why do you care about other people? Why?" Why do you fight? And so Scott, I don't know. I can honestly tell you I don't know. I don't know what drives me. So I know that reading this book is going to affect me in a really, really crazy way, which is why I haven't read it yet.
Well, somebody like you, I think, is going to have quite an interesting reaction to it. And I would love to talk over the phone after you read it, because what I believe it will do for you is it will have everything that you have been thinking, and a few things you may have wondered about. It's all in one place. I wrote it as a research book, but I also introduced Grace. I weaved in many things about Grace. I weaved in the trial, and then I document her last day on earth blow by blow with the hospital records. So I think you will laugh, you'll cry, you'll get pissed, yet you'll say at the end, oh my gosh, this is all in one place. And I wrote it, once I decided to write a book, it was interesting because you have to have a perspective. And the perspective I took was that the people who are awake will read this and pass it along to their friends who are not awake. And that's, so my perspective is, let's get out of the echo chamber. I think it's written from the perspective, it's gentle enough, yet it's blunt enough that the people outside of the ones that we would hang around with naturally because they're awake, they'll read it and say, oh my gosh, what you've been trying to tell me is true. That's what I'm hoping for.
So one of the things that, so I did go through and go through like a summary of it, because I wanted to be prepared to have this conversation with you. And I had already read all the court stuff. And frankly, I've watched your journey. So I know a lot. I would tell everyone, I know a lot about the journey that you've been on. You talk about the Americans becoming accomplices by trusting the system. And the, chasing safety, security over true freedoms. In other words, saying, okay, I'm going to listen to these people, even though the betrayal is obvious. So how can people break free? How can people break free from this? I talked about it yesterday, which is, it's kind of providence that we're talking about this. I talked about being slaves yesterday. How can they reclaim their own rights as people inside of a system that is designed to give them no choices?
Yeah, so the simple answer, but I'm going to give you some more practical. The simple answer is you have to acknowledge you've been fooled. Mm-hmm. You've got to acknowledge you've been lied to. Once you acknowledge that, you can repent for your participation in it, and then you're free. So now you can start reclaiming the ground. But from a practical, so when I saw how, first you realize, okay, I've been lied to. Okay, how did they pull it off? And this is the secret I show in the book. They pulled this off through dialectics. And let me explain what I'm talking about. All the way back in Genesis 3, Satan used the idea that you can eat from this tree of the tree of good versus evil, versus God offered the tree of life. Well, what the tree that Satan was offering Eve was not the tree of good and evil. He was offering her the tree of good or evil and less evil. Satan can't offer good. So Satan offered the tree of evil versus less evil. God was offering the tree of life. Only God is good. All right, so then that was fundamental for me to start waking up, because the whole system of dialectics is to give us two choices, always two choices. And the choices are designed as evil versus less evil, versus God's way is outside of those choices, always. So just simply take CNN evil, Fox less evil. God's way is the truth. We need to do some digging. We can't just blindly listen to somebody on either network and think that's the truth. God's way is search for the truth outside of the programming of CNN versus Fox. Democrat evil, Republican less evil. What's God's way outside of that? Abortion on demand, a woman's right to choose. Abortion first trimester. Both sides are murderers. It's just a matter of degree. God's way, no abortion. So that two choice, I grew up after I graduated from college, I had some sales training, and the two choice close is one of the things that they taught us in sales school. Always give the prospect two choices and you win in both choices. Well, Satan has cleverly designed our system that we always have two choices and evil wins both times. And once I saw that, you talked earlier about the veil being lifted. That has become my where I have invested an obscene amount of time studying that evil versus less evil, and I've written about it multiple times. I actually started a second book already because it's so important, this whole dialectic method. And this first book is, if you zoom out, I have become a student of Revelation 13. And in Revelation 13, God reveals Satan's dualistic nature, how he runs the world with an antichrist system and a false prophet system. And they play against each other. And it's real interesting when you see it. So this first book is really about the Antichrist system. Is the government legally killing us? And the second book, assuming God allows me to finish it, is the church spiritually killing us? So that's the false prophet side of Revelation 13. So I know that's a little deep, but it's really important that people understand this dialectic method. When you see that, you can see, oh my gosh, yeah, this is how they pull it off.
Well, what's interesting about what you're saying is that you're also addressing the fact that they have captured language, right? They've captured the very essence between choices. And I always like to tell people, you have to learn the power of the word no.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You need to do this. No, I'm not doing that. Well, we're going to punish you. Well, no, you're not. No, I'm not doing that. Right?
That's right on.
And you can do so in such a way where I'm not saying when you get arrested and the cop says we're going to arrest you, that you're like, no, you're not arresting me, and you run around, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that sometimes in order to break the system, you have to be willing to break it, right? So if you want to break evil, force takes the only thing that can actually break evil is force. So there's sacrifices when you're breaking evil, because there's other evil. And evil has more than one lever. So you have to make sure you build density. You got to make sure you build things around you that allow for you to have a reprieve if necessary. But evil is evil for a reason. And so I look at this and go, we've got to find a way, because if what you're saying is that the church is killing us because you're in a spiritual anemacy that you can't break free from. And over here you have a physical world that is killing you because the evil is so palatable. You can see it, smell it, taste it. So that means that we're stuck in the middle.
That's right.
Right? So we got to find a way to create a brotherhood or a community that allows for us to reject the parts of the spirituality inside the church that have betrayed us and fight against the physical evil that is trying to consume us.
And the hardest part about that is God made us herd animals, and he did that for our protection. But Satan also knows we're herd animals, and we have a fear of being ostracized by the herd. And so it's uncomfortable to get outside. You and I are both we don't care about that, but that's not, they can herd the masses pretty easy. I was just thinking about masks when you were talking about that. You don't wear a mask. I don't wear a mask either. But I mean, if everybody just said screw it when they had this mask mandates, I mean, they could have never pulled it off. But the herd mentality, I can remember, people kind of getting right in our face in stores when we weren't wearing masks, and that's where our society is. So I don't think we're going to fix society unless God's wrath comes because of lack of repentance and brings us all to our knees. But I know what my responsibility is now. I'm not going to try to fix society, but I do want to help those who have ears to hear, to search for the truth. And that's what has become our mission.
Well, I tell you what, I don't want to take away from just how amazing this interview has been, but I want to also give you the time to. We got about 4 minutes left. I want to give you the time to be able to talk about, first of all, how do people get a hold of your book? I want to get that. How do they follow you? And then give an update on. I mean, obviously, you asked for a new trial, you didn't get it. So, where are you in that process? Is there still other levers that you can pull? So yeah, I'll give you the final word.
So the trial, the legals, that whole thing, we've decided to just stop. I mean, after we had the denial for the new trial, there was an important filing because we got to be able to have the record straight. I revealed what happened during the pretrial, the denial of the motions in limine. I was able to get on the record the illegal DNR, that it was illegal, and nobody refuted the motions in limine. So now the legal record stands. So why am I not interested in pursuing an appeal? Because it is the Antichrist system. God called us into it. We took it all the way to the end. We never had a settlement position. God knew the verdict before we ever stepped in the courtroom. My responsibility was to leave it all on the battlefield. So I'm very happy with the outcome because God's got this. As Grace would say, God's got this, Dad. So I'm ecstatic with the outcome. Millions of people saw some pieces of the trial live stream. As far as getting a hold, following me, we have Grace's main website has become a depository for my research. We have a Substack that I write fairly regularly. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you can subscribe to the Substack. And then you see the book you click on the book and it will give you the 3 different options for ordering. It'll tell you a little bit about the book if you want to read more, but then it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Goodreads. The book, unbelievably, even though it's the release date is next week, Tuesday, the 10th, I received my copy from Amazon today. It just came in the mail today. So they're sending it out early if you pre-ordered. We were #1 on Amazon. I can't believe it. #1 for the last 4 days in a row. So I mean that is a miracle. I mean I self-published the book, of course, because it's too aggressive. I mean, I did not. A real good friend of mine reviewed it, Joe, and he said, "Scott, boy, I mean, you didn't hold back, and you brought all the receipts," which that's my research nature. So I'm ecstatic that we actually made it to the finish line. I never thought it would be because of how aggressive the book is, and we don't have free speech, etc. So I'm really hopeful people will read it, but then more importantly, pass it along to your friends who are not awake, because I think you'll see it's written from that perspective. And then just the 411 on the book proves the government has legalized medical murder. It's by design, and medical murder is in fact the #1 cause of death in America. 1.7 million annual deaths, 142,000 new medical murders every single month right now. So I hope people will read it. I think it gives you the tools to protect yourself and also wake up your friends.
That's amazing. Scott, I'm going to read it. I'll go ahead and order it. Actually, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to sign a note in it to me. I'll order it, send it to your house, then have you send it to me.
I'll one up you on that. If you text me your home address, I ordered 1,000 copies that I can do signatures, and I'll mail you one.
All right, I appreciate that very much. I'll definitely send you my address. Scott, we end every podcast with a prayer. I'm gonna turn that over to you.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this amazing opportunity with my brother Joe. We were able to shine your light on things that are evil today that we could have never done without the gift that you've given both Joe and I, the platforms you've given both Joe and I, and we thank you for that. We are thankful for your son, Jesus Christ, who came to this earth, was crucified, died, and was buried, and rose again on the 3rd day, so that whoever believes in him will have eternal life. And that's why we're both doing this. We want everybody to bend the knee to Jesus Christ and get over the fear of death, because we know where we're going. Thank you, Lord. I pray these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Scott, I look forward to talking to you again soon after I read your book. I'll probably have you back on because we can have just a dissect it there. I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be emotional at the time, but it probably will.
Yeah, we can really get into it then. That would be a blast, Joe. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. God bless you, brother.
You too.
I've been following this story of Grace's for the last 5 years almost. It's been, well, since October of 2021. I think the first time I had him on was just after that, a month or so after that. And the strength that he has and the decisions, the resiliency that he has to keep going forward and to forgive people is I don't know if I want it, but it's an amazing gift that he can share with others. It's pretty special. So, all right, you guys know what to do. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. You can go to Rumble. You can go to the website at Untamed Nation. You can visit us we're on Facebook, which is blowing up. It's really a weird place for it to blow up. It'll show up under Conservative Daily or Untamed Nation. Or you can follow me. I'll put it on my socials as well. You can follow me on any number of those socials. What's weird is that I know that I am throttled on certain platforms because obviously it's just kind of the way it's supposed to be, I guess. But there seems to be like lifting that's happening, so I'm getting to reach more people. I'm never going to reach anybody on YouTube. I keep getting copy struck. So if you're over there, I'm just there just to annoy them. if you want to know the truth about YouTube. But hey, listen, enjoy your Friday. Have a great weekend. Love on your family. And we'll see you on Monday. I am going to be on, forgot. I will, as I said before at the beginning of the show, I will be on Peter Boyle's at 710 KNUS. I will be on that show. It's a Salem station tomorrow from 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is noon Eastern, I think for 2 hours. So I'll be on with him until noon Mountain Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern. Peter Boyles and I, if you don't know anything about Peter Boyles, it goes back a long way. A lot of things that Peter and I have not been on the same page for the last 4 years, but I think we're going to have a lively conversation. We're going to create a restoration of our relationship and get to the bottom of, why he feels our elections are safe and secure, which I don't actually think he thinks that. But we're going to get to the bottom of that tomorrow. So I hope to see you again, 710 KNUS. This is going to be a banger. This will be a bigger show for Peter, I think, than he's had in 25 years. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call, truth and freedom rising, watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our story. Union's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the blow to stay, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rising, watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor rise up untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever